Thank you for staying with us. So right now we're going to go right to our main topic, which is about, I said it earlier, and she was laughing at me, that it's about food. It's about your food, our food, the world supply of food. If you've been following the news lately, you would understand that sometimes last year, the farmers in Netherlands staged a protest. And the protest was actually ongoing. It got violent at some point. And then you wonder, wait, is this about subsidies? Is it about taxes? Is it about diesel taxes? But then you look, okay, so are we just going to give you the facts first of all? So the first thing about it is the farmers at the center of the farmers all over the world right now are being accused of emitting too much nitrogen into the atmosphere. Yes. And they claim because of that, the global warming, the climate is declining. The glaciers are melting. Although we've been taught that all this hocus pocus, the climate change, is a hoax. But let's go back to the foundations. Farmers have been accused that they are emitting too much nitrogen into the atmosphere. So what is nitrogen? Nitrogen happens to occur naturally in nature, and it is one of the gases we breathe in. As a matter of fact, we have a small picture for you, the composition of, this is what we inhale on a regular basis. So 78% of what we inhale is nitrogen, not oxygen. Because a lot of us, when we went to school, were told, oh, we inhale oxygen, a lot more oxygen. And so 78% is nitrogen, followed by 16% oxygen, other gases, and then carbon dioxide. So if that's the case, why are we now telling farmers they're putting too much nitrogen? Okay. The farming practices over the decades, over the years have changed. And that has brought about some of these arguments. So naturally, or in the days gone by, farmers who especially rear cattle, take their cattle out to the field, they eat, they defecate, they urinate, and then bring them back in the evening into a barn, shield them from the weather. But then as technology grew, we start feeding them all sorts of other things apart from just grass. We bring them into a barn and they do everything in the barn. So they defecate in the barn, they urinate in the same place, and when that gets mixed together, it produces gas. So the same nitrogen becomes nitrogen oxide because there is now a mixing of both the urine and the feces. And that, they claim, adds to climate change. Now, in the Netherlands, their government was trying to cut down on how many farmers, because in the 60s they encouraged farmers to have a lot more cattle. Maybe they had 50, they were encouraged, no, that's not enough. After Second World War, they were encouraged to have a lot more, which they did. Now, in these days, they're now being told to cut them down. So a lot of farmers can't really afford to do that because that is what they sought, that is what they, this is their livelihood. And then the subsidies on diesel, for example, and farming equipment that were, you know, a lot of them are heavily in debt. And you're cutting the debt, you're telling them, well, they have to pay off, all the subsidies that you were giving them are being removed. So farmers took to the road. Because some are being forced, they're being told that you have to voluntarily sell your land. Voluntarily.
So Vicky has been giving all this because actually we are heading somewhere.
Oh yes, we're definitely heading somewhere.
And somewhere is the theories and the information being enforced into people's lives might not really correlate with the reality. Because what she said is happening in different parts of Europe, while if you compare with the other parts of the world, farming is different.
Of definitely different. But these things that I'm talking about are happening in what we call the developed world. So we're talking Europe, we're talking Australia, we're talking Canada, we're talking the United States, and we are talking even the UK.
Yeah, and because there's a narrative which is being pushed into people's lives, including farmers, and so the language, the narrative, the wording of saying climate change, we have to look into the percentage of this. You are cutting everything which you have been promising these people, and you've been helping these farmers for years. Now you say no, these ones are affecting the climate. They're bringing impact to the lives of others. But is it true? Because if we compare with other parts of the world, we are talking about some parts of countries, like for instance in Africa, some countries in Africa, one farmer might have over, is it 1,000 cows, cattle? And what they do, they leave them graze. They don't have time to take care of them because there's so many. And at one point, the narrative was like, oh, it's too much. They're actually eroding the soil and all that because of their number. But I think because the way the system of life, ecosystem, the way it is supposed to be, we need to consider the reality of the world, the way God created it. Because you reduce the number of cows, yeah, you have 10 of them or 5, because you cannot take care of 100. Now, these 5, you are cutting tax, you are cutting support, you are cutting everything. So a person who has been living as a farmer for all of his years, how is he going to survive? How is he going to make his life? How is he going to have his own life, like enjoying the life he's been enjoying for long? I've been listening to one of Pastor Chris's messages on wisdom. three kinds of wisdom. So it's good to apply wisdom in everything you do. And first starts.
One of the things we found out about the way they're going about the farmers or treating the farmers is that if you voluntarily give up your land, what do you do next? You go into retirement. You stop producing food. So if you were putting out food, then the prices are going to go up. So there's going to become a shortage.
Shortage of food.
Shortage of food. And that will lead to increase in price. Eventually, malnutrition. Because not as many people will be able to afford the same.
But all this one is leading to people suffering.
That is the key there. Okay, so that's that. There's been protests all over the world. So we're just going to show you a few videos so you get an understanding on how farmers are reacting, so that you, in your country, wherever you are, can do something. Because if it starts in one side of the world, be rest assured it's not going to stay there. At some point, sooner or later, it's coming to a farm near you. Let's take the first video, please.
On est déjà devenu demander qu'on nous respecte un petit peu, parce qu'on se fait démolir. On a rarement vu une profession qui se fait démolir autant depuis un an ou deux, où on critique tout ce qu'on fait, quoi. Finalement, on essaye de faire au mieux avec les moyens qu'on nous donne. On a un gouvernement qui nous remet des normes à tour de bras, et on s'aperçoit que les gens mangent des choses importées qui sont produites pas sur les mêmes bases. Donc déjà, moi... je ne sais pas quelle est la consigne syndicale, hein, mais moi ce que j'en pense, c'est qu'il faudrait déjà qu'on soit sur un pied d'égalité là-dessus, quoi.
Ja, wir sind eigentlich alle hergekommen, weil das Maß ist voll. Die ganze Last derer, die alles Mögliche wollen, Klimaschutz, Umweltschutz, Trinkwasserschutz, die laden ihre Wünsche alle auf die Schultern der Bauern und wir können die alleine nicht mehr tragen. Klimaschutz kostet Geld, Umweltschutz kostet Geld, Wasserschutz kostet Geld, Insektenschutz kostet Geld. Wir leisten das gerne, aber es muss bezahlt werden.
There you have it. So, as you can see in that video, it's not just one country.
Europe.
Yes.
And because, you know, some of the information that comes from Germany, Germany next week from 8th to 15th, they are staging another protest. And they are coming in a very huge
One of them
number,
actually
the
said,
tractors and everything.
one of them said, you will see us in ways you've never experienced before. Because what is happening now is that they've now realized, okay, tractors take to the streets of Ballarat as farmers protest Western Renewal Building. Remember, part of the enemy's agenda here is not just to stop us from eating meat, but give us artificially produced meat, things they produce in the lab. Italy's been one of the countries that has banned that. And because of that, they haven't gotten to the place where they have this kind of protest.
Now,
farmers protest in Dublin as agricultural minister defends government climate targets.
What climate targets?
So what people are failing to understand is that farmers bring us food. They not just give us meat to eat. Even the vegetables that you're gunning for have to be grown.
Yeah, now you see, like this one, is it WA farmers say avalanche coming for industry as live export ban? Aboriginal heritage debate continues.
This is now Australia. So you see, it is not localized to, it is a global plan.
Now, people will react because gone are the days where people sit down to wait what the government is going to do. The question you have to ask yourself, is government there for you? Is the government there for you? Because farmers protesting in Netherlands reflect a rise of popular revolts in Europe.
All right, we have another video that we want you to see. It is all pointing the same thing, but it is very important because if we don't talk about this, the plan is for there to be food shortages. That's something the Love World Nation has been praying against. They're artificial food shortages. And it's not only artificial food they want, they're planning water. So these are things you need to be conscious of and intentionally pray against. Let's go to the video, please.
You see,
yeah,
the roads now are not clean anymore.
No, because they're dumping manure on the road. And speaking of dumping manure, we have one more video where the French show their own disagreement in a unique way. Let's go to that one, please.
Well, with governments cracking down on farmers in their bid to reach net zero, we've seen protests in Australia, in the Netherlands, in America, but no one protests quite like French farmers. Check out these guys who protested outside government buildings, spraying those government buildings with manure to make their point. Caleb, I reckon that would convince MPs to listen to your grievances.
I mean, I've heard of people cracking the shits, but that is taking it to a new level, I suspect. Only in France would you get a protest like that.
But you've stunk everybody else out in the process as well.
They did indeed.
Journalists, you guys.
I mean, this is
French
a
shows us how to protest.
this is it is a very serious topic because it's going to affect the entire human race if we sit. But you know, you have to also laugh about things like this.
It looks like they've touched a different group of people because these ones have a different way of protesting.
No, but
and those are government buildings, right?
Yes. Those are the buildings where serious decisions have been made. Now, these protests are likely to go and get violent. Why? Because people are now joining in. They're seeing the prices of food in these particular countries sneak up. You can't just keep saying it's cost of living, but what is causing the cost of living to go up? If not these artificial shortages. So you're forcing farmers to sell. There's a particular story of a particular family that I read where they've been farming on the same land for generations, but they're now being forced out. They're being threatened. All sorts are happening. One family member disappeared, and he was the most vocal one against the sale.
And why should just one person own all these big acres of land and using all evil ways to evict other people?
This is Germany again.
Hey.
This is the Autobahn. They blocked the Autobahn.
Yeah, and Germany, as we said, next week again we'll have this news of these people coming again, protesting against all these decisions done by the government. And the government is supposed to be for the people, not against the people.
Okay, so let's kind of bring this home now. What are you as a viewer expected to do? Apart from praying, you need to listen. Be aware of what's happening in your country. Know when the government, because when they're going to start these things, they first start through the back doors. They sneak these things in, and before you know it has become law. So be vigilant, be aware. Because if you're not aware, then you just hear one day farmers are outlawed. And then, once you start hearing something, start writing to your MP. Because what we're also finding out that all the genetically modified food, the organic foods, they're not as organic as you think they are.
Yeah.
Because they're all being tampered with now.
All these actions are very important. To know what is going on around you, get involved, take action. If you're a Christian, you've given your life to Jesus Christ, you have the authority in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ and the wisdom. Remember, wisdom. Take action wisely where it's needed. If you go back to the message of the year, this is the year of the redemption, and the redemption goes all the way to extricate yourself.
Yes.
From all
bad laws,
bondage and everything.
So we have been freed, and these are the things that we need to get rid of, because if we don't do it now, if the Lord tarries, our children would have to fight same battles.
So take action wisely, use wisdom to do what's required of you.